Yes. We're going to start the meeting January 6, 2015, around 6:47. Call to the order the attendance. Ms. Garcia. The absence, mayor's absence for now. Okay, please of the allegiance. Would you? No? Pledge of the allegiance. Would you, Mr. Mandy? Approval agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion to approve and second.
Yeah, before you make the take the vote, Mr. Chairman, we wanted to see whether it could be an item and be added as an emergency item as part of the agenda today. And that basically,
Okay.
that emergency item would be the shelter, the winter shelter.
Okay, so is there anybody who wants to, Mr. Mandy, who wants to change the motion?
To add on that the shelter, winter shelter as part of the...
Mr. Attorney, is this something
Yeah.
that's...
Mayor Pro Tem, my suggestion is you need a 4/5 vote to put it on. The criteria has not been established. I would prefer a special meeting so that all of the issues, including the financial issues, are before the council. So my preference would be that you proceed by way of special meeting on that issue.
The issue is that it's an emergency items because we're basically facing freezing situations outside, so it isn't like, it's a time-sensitive item, if you will. And if it can be added with 4 people voting for it, I really would like to request that it be added on today and see where it leads us.
Certainly. I would leave it to the Mayor Pro Tem and council to make that decision. I wanted to
Okay.
point out it requires a 4/5 vote.
Okay.
So, Mr.
Thank
Mandy, how are we gonna, you gonna amend the motions? The discussion only?
Is it it's discussion or it's an action item?
No, it's a discussion and action.
Okay, is there a fiscal impact?
Well, that's basically, the discussion will come up, those things will float up through the discussion, if you will.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I'm second that motion.
Okay. So the motion is adding the emergency shelter for the homeless,
Yes.
the discussion and action item. So if anybody's the discussion, are we going to vote? If we don't have a discussion, we're going to go
We
to
could second for discussion?
Preliminarily, you need to vote to put it onto the agenda on an emergency basis. Then it will come up for discussion as an agenda item.
Okay. So
The voting's not on, is it?
let's vote for the approval agenda.
Excuse me, Attorney, do we have to amend my motion to, because I approved the agenda?
My understanding is that you are voting to add on an emergency basis the shelter issue onto the agenda. Then there will be discussion. Then you have the ability to vote on whatever you decide.
But I made the motion to approve the agenda. I don't have to amend the...
We're doing it through clarification right now.
Clarification.
Councilmember.
One more. Motion passed, so we're gonna discussion. So if we do discuss, when we're gonna do it, after presentation?
think, Mayor, or Mayor Pro Tem, there's an announcement that needs to be made that you need to read.
Okay, so agenda is approved. Okay, the announcement. This proceeding may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. The awards and presentation, appointments, and the proclamations. Number 4, the presentation by Mayor Moreno to Calexico 2014 Christmas Parade winners. Mr. Wong, do we have some presentation?
We have, they're right here.
So I do for the third one first. So I think so we should go the other side. Mayor's Award, first place, Main School Elementary. Is anybody representing Main School? Okay. Second place.
Did anybody go to main school?
Okay. Second place, Grand Marshals Award, present to the Cesar Chavez Elementary. Okay. Third place, Sweepstakes Award, present to Our Lady of Guadalupe Academy. I think it's going to be, this one's going to be to deliver to them. Number 5, presentation by Interim Police Chief Marshal Michael Bostic.
Thank you, council members. Gabrielle has agreed to help me run a slideshow, so we're going to go through some things. And I passed out a handout to you so you don't have to watch the slides behind you. And she's going to run the slide projector for me as we go through some slides. Thank you, Gabriella. Let me see if this works. Maybe you don't have to. We'll see if we get lucky. Nah, it was a nice try. We gave it a shot. So council members, members of the community, thank you for this opportunity to speak before you. It truly is my honor tonight to talk about the future of the Calexico Police Department instead of all the other things that I've had to talk to the council about. And what I'm most excited about is the members of my department have helped me develop this future vision in 2015 for the Calexico Police Department. There's been a lot of discussion about what's the police department like, and I'm about to tell you. They're very good people. They're hard-working people. There's honest people. They want to do the right thing, and they helped me develop this vision. So I'm very excited about that. Over the past few weeks, I've met with a lot of the officers and the civilian employees individually, and as I presented this plan to them, they didn't like some things, so I took it out, and they wanted some other things, so I added it. So it's going to be a living and breathing plan. And believe it or not, I haven't even been here 90 days yet. So what I'm thrilled about is the amount of participation that I have from the police department in the midst of all these investigations and all the negative things going on. They want to get back to work. And a lot of you from the community have already told me they're back to work because you see them out in the field working patrol and doing a lot of other things. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm very proud of my department because like I've told you all along since the moment I got here, what I know about police officers, and what I know about civilian employees that come to work in a police department, when they pin on the badge and wear the ID card of a police department, they know it's a special responsibility. And the vast majority of them are just waiting for someone to lead. And what I love about what's happening now is they're starting to lead on their own. My lieutenants, the sergeants, the police officers, the dispatchers, the records unit, they're all involved in leading the future because they actually see one. So I'm going to share with you in about 20, 30 minutes what's coming in 2015, because I want everybody to be up to speed about where we're going and not just come with bad news. Bad news is easy to give, but creating a new legacy for a department is completely different and a lot of hard work, and it started back before Thanksgiving. When all these other things were going on, we actually started this work. So I'm going to start sharing that with you. So you notice the title. Everyone calls themselves a police department, a fire department. We're actually in the service business. And I'm having great conversations with my officers explaining to them, we're a service business. And someday I want the community to feel like we're Nordstrom's. And initially they hated that analogy because we don't sell anything. But actually we do. We provide a service to the community, and you either love us or you don't. And there's a reason you go to Nordstrom's and pay 3 times the price for a shirt that you would at Walmart or some other places, because you like the service. And so I want our department to be a place that you're proud of, that you know when you call them, you're going to get Nordstrom's or Costco style service. I told them the story of me buying a television for Thanksgiving. I got this great new television. Never had a big screen. I got this big screen. Got it home, got all excited, spent half a Sunday afternoon getting it set up, and it doesn't work. How frustrating is that, right? So I fool with it for weeks, and finally my son says, Dad, take it back to Costco. They'll take it back. No, they won't. They'll hassle me. They'll tell me that I don't know how to do it. No, go talk to them. They didn't even make me bring the box back. I brought them the TV. They gave me a new one. I was in shock. And then after I left, I got a survey in my email. How was our service? Well, how do you think I rated them? I was in shock. Well, that's the way I want you to feel about our police department in the future. And I know my officers and my employees do too. So we've been talking our way through. We're now a service-based organization, and we're going to be focused on servicing the community in Calexico. So how are we going to do that? We'll go to the next slide, Gabriella. She's trying to write at the same time and keep up with me. So service focus. What's our job really all about? It's about calls for service. When you call us, we need to come there, we need to serve you, we need to do it professionally, and we need to do it well. It's about response to crime. That's our job. That's just kind of the nuts and bolts of what we do. It's about criminal investigations. We're going to talk a little bit about customer surveys, and it's about supervision participation. So why do I have those up there? So what I found, there's always a little bit of revelation each day and each week as I move through the department. And one of the things I most recently found was we had these auditors coming in looking at our department. We had officers that had crime reports where they'd responded to your crime, and they still 2-3 months later hadn't turned in the report. So I asked one of my officers, by the way, who happened to be one of them that had several of those reports there in front of the others that was still in his queue, if your car was broken into right out in front of the Calexico police station and one of your fellow officers came out and took an investigation, and you found out 2 months later he still hadn't turned in a report, what would be your reaction? And he was like pounding his hand on the table and everything else. No way, you better not get away with that. I can't believe that. Well, neither can I. So it was like a revelation moment. So how do those things happen? They don't happen by happenstance. They happen because no one's holding them accountable to do their job. So I've been talking a lot to my officers about, okay, I have a big job ahead because now I have to teach you how to be police officers again. Literally, I do. And I get that. And I'm up for that task. And I don't blame the police officers. I blame leadership. Leadership's responsible for assuring people do their job. So the next thing I find on crime response, in the world of policing, I'm running a corporation. My corporation is the opposite side of criminals. It's crime service, crime detection, crime prevention, crime prosecution. That's my business. Okay, so Councilman Real and I have had many conversations about return on investment. What's the return on investment for the amount of money that I spend to do something in the police department? Well, if I don't even know what my crime rate is, which, by the way, I don't, because our crime stats and the way that we keep crime stats and the facts that officers aren't turning in crime reports till they get around to it, guess what? I don't know what my crime rate is in this city. So that's a huge challenge for me. And again, it's the best possible challenge in the world because I know exactly where to start from the beginning. You know, when you come in as an interim chief, sometimes you come into a culture that's kind of combative and wants to do things the way they want to do it and everything else. I have never experienced that in Calexico since I've been here. That is the awesome news. Because they honestly want to do a good job and they don't know how to do it. That's actually a blessing as a new chief. Because when you can start from ground zero and they're willing to play and train and learn, you got it made from there. You just have to provide the training and make it happen. So I'm going to teach them how to handle calls for service, how to do criminal investigations, how to respond to crime in the field, how to work in the field when you're out there dealing with crime problems, how to do field interviews with suspects, how to treat the public. We haven't treated the public well. How do I know that? You've told me. And the officers acknowledge that some of our officers haven't treated the public well. Well, that's awesome. That's 95% of the roadmap forward. At least we admit we have a problem. Once you admit you have a problem, it's much easier to work on. So the officers have done that, and I'm really proud of them for being willing to admit that we have a long way to go. Then I talked about customer surveys. Boy, have we had some great conversations over that. So my idea is like Nordstrom's, Costco, you go to Walgreens, I don't care where you go to, I went to Burger King and got a burger and they said, hey, respond to this survey and you get a free hamburger the next time you come. The whole world does surveys. Well, so can we. So I'm going to ask my officers to be involved in a survey process when they serve you, and you're going to get a postcard or something, you're going to be able to rate our service. So, you know, the immediate reaction for a police officer is, uh-oh, you want to get me. And I kept telling them, no, it's not my heart. It's a survey for me. I'm the only one that's going to read it, and I'm going to find out how we're doing. And I don't know if I don't get any actual feedback in what's happening in the department. So my officers are a little bit kind of, you know, Chief, you're kind of nuts. We've never done that before. I don't want to be in trouble because you're trying to find out what I'm doing. And I said, relax, we'll work it out together. I'll prove to you you can trust me and that my heart is right. I'm telling the whole world, including the council, why we're going to do it. So if I do something different than what I say I'm going to do, I'm not going to get away with it in this town. I know that. And that's awesome. I'm fine with that because my heart is you deserve the best possible service that I can provide you and my officers and my employees can. And that's how I'm going to know you're getting it, by the feedback that you give me from the community. So we'll be working on that as well. Supervisors' participation. There's kind of this, within my department, many of the employees don't feel like the supervisors are part of the solution, that they're actually part of the problem. And in some ways I agree with them. There's been kind of a culture of retaliation, I got you, hard nose, not much leadership, and a whole lot of, I'm going to tell you what to do and you better do it or I'm going to kill you kind of an attitude. Been a lot of that going on. A lot of threats, those kinds of things going on. So that stops. So I'm going to do the same kind of quality checks on my supervisors. I haven't even mentioned this to them yet because they haven't been around much. I haven't seen them. But I want to know how everybody's doing in the department. And when I go to a public meeting, I'm going to pass out those cards as well because I want to know from you, did I answer your questions or did I dodge something? Was I honest with you or did you think I wasn't honest with you? I'm not afraid of that because I'm here to serve you and I honestly want your feedback about how we're doing as a department. So that's my commitment to the city this year. We're going to put that process in place. I got several of the council members I know that want to see that happen. But I want to really reiterate, I've had to say some really tough things about my department in the last few months. But what I'm most excited about is they're on board. They clearly are. And I'm truly excited about that. I've done this before in my department in LA when I was there. And man, the resistance was months and months of resistance. I have not got any resistance from the Calexico Police Department and their employees on where we're going. So we'll go to the next slide. So crime reporting, I already mentioned that, and why is that important? So what we found out in our audits, and I think part of it's our poorly executed software systems in our police cars. They do everything in a system that documents their activities. And what we found is, just by looking in the system itself, not by what they actually do every day, that our officers actually work about an hour and a half out of a 12-hour day where they're actually doing police activities. Now, do I believe that? No, I don't believe that. I mean, I couldn't possibly goof off for 10 and a half hours. I couldn't think of things to do to goof off that much when I was a police officer, and it's not in me. Cops want to do police work. So something's broken down in our crime reporting, our statistical system, and we're going to fix that. And we have some consultants helping us put that together. We're going to start tracking officers' field daily activities and things, so that when I come back to the council and want to budget for some things, they're going to say to me, whoa, what do you base that on? And I'm going to base it on real statistics and a return on investment. If you invest in this many employees or in this program, what does the community get out of it? If I can't articulate that, I can't come back here and ask for things. That's just the way I look at it. I'm running a business, and my business is police services. And in that business, there needs to be a return on the investment. Part of that is directed patrol operations. So if I don't have crime stats, and I don't know where my gang members are hanging out, and I don't know what kind of bar problems I have in the city and those kinds of things, and it's only anecdotal, how do I direct the time of my officers in the field when they're not busy doing other things? I can't. I have no statistical basis to do that. Right now, I don't have that. Is it an easy fix? Absolutely. It's going to take a couple months. We'll get the statistical base put together, and we'll be off and running. So more good news out of the bad news that I'm finding. Criminal investigations is part of the leadership. Oh, deployment-based formula. You've heard all this conversation, because I've listened to all the city council meetings for years before I ever got here, about how dangerous it is in Calexico and how we need a minimum staffing and we need more than 4 officers on every watch, okay? So I had these 2 gentlemen that I know from my LAPD days now, who now work for California Post, and what they do is they audit police departments. And as they audit police departments, one of the first things they look at is deployment. And one of the things that first struck me when I got here was, wow, where did they come up with this number 4 in a minimum? And then I look in the manual, and it's actually in the manual, 4 minimum. Never seen that anywhere in all my years of policing where you'd put a minimum staffing in the manual. So let's say I ran Joe's delivery truck service, okay? And I worked 24/7 delivering stuff for my customers. And if I just arbitrarily said, I'm going to have just 4 trucks every day, all day long, every day, how long do you think that I would be in business? Not very long. My business has to be based upon a formula, statistics, what's happening in the city, the crime, the calls for service, the traffic, traffic accidents, all those kinds of stats that don't exist right now. So what I've asked my lieutenants to do, and they're working on it now, is we're changing and taking the 4-officer minimum out of the manual because it doesn't belong there. What belongs is a professional deployment formula based upon the actual needs of the community of Calexico. And it's going to take me 4 or 5 months of collecting statistics that'll measure that out completely. But what I do know is I don't need 4 officers on every watch. That's just nonsense. What I need is a deployment formula based upon what's happening on a given day, in given hours, in a given week, in a given month, in a different season of the year. So common sense says to me, do I need a lot of police officers working from 3 until 7 in the morning when it's 29 degrees? I don't think so. Do I need a lot more officers when it's 120 and the bars are open on Friday and Saturday night and everybody's drinking? Well, of course I do. We're not deployed that way. We're not even deployed for the obvious. So the union rightfully filed a grievance because I kept going below the minimums here in Calexico over the last month and a half. So why did I go below the minimums? Well, first of all, it's a made-up number. Being honest with everybody, it's a totally made-up number. And second of all, the reason I'm going below those minimums is we have lots of officers now during the holiday season who suddenly have hangnails and codes in conjunction with the holidays. So why would I waste taxpayers' money bringing people in off duty and pay them time and a half so other people can goof off? I won't do that. I just won't. So if I get in trouble for violating that pretend policy, oh well, I'm not going to violate the city's financial status to deal with the pretend policy. So to eliminate that whole problem, we're changing the manual, taking that out of there. We're going to come up with a professional deployment plan. We're going to have a preliminary one when these auditors get done that'll tell me what I should deploy for now. And then as we get more and more stats, we'll base our deployment on the city's needs. One of the first things we've already done, which got rave resistance, was I moved a few officers from what's called their normal day watch and morning watch shift. It's 7 to 7 and 7 to 7. We have two shifts, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 7 p.m., 7 a.m. Well, if I only have 4 officers working from 7 p.m. until 2 a.m. on a Friday and a Saturday, now that I'm worried about. Then I'm worried about officer safety. Because on Friday and Saturday night, we know people don't act normal. Fights happen, bar fights happen, crime happens. Now I'm worried about that. So common sense says, how do I fill that gap? I create a mid-watch. So I now have a mid-watch from 3 until 3 in the afternoon until 3 in the morning. And we have, I think, now 2 officers coming up on each of those watches. So now I have a gap, and I have 6 officers and a sergeant working. So that accomplishes the obvious. I now have people working when it's busiest, but also when suddenly someone has a hangnail or a cold and can't come to work, I have coverage, and I don't have to keep making those safety issues. The other thing that I know this city knows, it is remarkable how many law enforcement officers we have in the city of Calexico. I'm telling you, it is remarkable. In all my career, I wish I had 100 Border Patrol assigned to my city at any time, and we do 24/7 in Calexico. 100 Border Patrol officers. 100. So when I hear people say to me, well, it's really dangerous out there, we went down to the 3 minimum. All I have to do is say help, and I can guarantee you 50 of those 100 Border Patrol officers are going to respond. And they do it every day. You see them. I can't drive around the street more than 3 blocks that I don't see a Border Patrol officer. So we're working through all these things. I'm glad the union brought it up. They're right. We have to fix it, and I'm going to fix it in a professional way. Criminal investigations. This is a really interesting thing that I've never seen before in Calexico. What happens here is the officers and the sergeants decide which cases they'll send the detectives to investigate. Anybody here okay with that? I don't think so. I'm not okay with that. I'm see the heads nodding. You're not okay with that. When you report a crime, you're hoping the investigators are going to investigate them. Well, that has not been happening. It's up to the sergeants and police officers to decide which one investigations take. So we're changing the whole way investigations operate in Calexico Police Department. My investigators are getting a 5% bonus to be investigators. They're now part of my leadership team. And as part of that leadership team, they're the ones that are responsible for going through every incident report that comes into the Calexico Police Department. They're going to find out what the crime trends are. They're going to find out who the bad guys are. They're going to be looking at field interviews and logs. And they're going to be developing the directed patrol patterns for my patrol officers because they're in charge of investigating the crimes of the city. That happens everywhere in the world except Calexico. That's the job of an investigator. They're quality control. When someone does a sloppy preliminary investigation, they send it back to the officer and say, go do it again, so that you get a quality investigation. So we're changing that as well. We'll go to the next page. Community policing. This one really struck me. Most of you don't even know who my police officers are. You've never met them. You've never seen them. You've never talked to them. And if you have, it probably hasn't been a very good contact because it's probably been because you got a ticket or a parking ticket or they thought you were a suspect. And that's your experience. How do I know? You've been telling me that, right? Well, then I start looking into the department. It started about 2007, 2008, 2009 when the budget crunch hit. Everything that we do in the Calexico Police Department or used to do that had to do with connecting with the community is gone, wiped out. Because they were trying to meet this magic 4-officer, it's really dangerous out there, it's not safe formula. That was their whole focus. We're going to get killed out there, we need more cops. They never once gave thought to the idea of there's 38,000 members of the community who can back me up, all I have to do is ask. And I know that about you. I watch the council meetings and the way you guys show up. I watch the community meetings and the way you show up. If something happens in this town and my officers need help, you're coming. I know that. They don't know that yet because they haven't connected with you. So one of the things I want to work on in this year is to put community-based policing back into this police department where you're part of solving the problems that are happening in the city. The other thing I instinctively know is our crime rate is way too low for our population. So why could that be? Okay, I'm real. There's lots of cops, including the Border Patrol around, so believe me, that has an impact. But I also know because of the broken relationship in the community in my department, you're probably not reporting a lot of things because you're saying, why bother? I know that. So how do you fix that? Well, you fix that by recreating the relationship. So I've had several meetings with the Department of Justice and the Federal Department of Justice, great people. I worked with them in L.A. They usually come in to kind of mess with you and hammer you and give you a bad time because you're not doing police work right. But in my case, I'm inviting them in because I know they can help me rebuild the bridges in the community and rebuild community policing because they have the expertise to do it. They helped us in L.A. do it several times. They're really good at building community-based organizations and getting the police back in the police business. We gave up on school resource officers. We gave up on a canine officer. You say a canine officer is not really a community-based policing officer. Well, wait till you see the way kids and people respond to the canine officer and his dog. It's a huge one. The school resource program, I can't believe we don't do that here. That's our future. That's who we deal with every day, these young kids. We develop a relationship early on. So I'm going to figure out how to bring that back. I'm going to put together some community forums. And you notice those are just the first three because they're the obvious. Business forum, clergy forum, and housing authority forum. We used to have in this city some housing authority people and police officer hired by the housing authority to police our 10 housing projects. Okay? The value of that is you know what's going on. People come and talk to you. They're invested. They live in the housing projects. They're there all the time. We don't have any of that. We have no connection, no conversation. I have no one I can go to and say what's happening in the housing projects, and no one in my department that can do that. Why? Because we pulled out of all of that. And they did too. I got to give them credit. They helped. And that's just wrong. I know there's crime going on in those housing complexes. And we're not seeing much. So it's another broken system that I want to fix. The clergy. Anybody who doesn't think the pastors and the, I got that wrong, the Catholic priests and bishops, man, this is a 98% Catholic town. I'm going to get myself in big trouble. You don't think they don't know what's going on? Of course they do. And I want to be able to talk to them all the time about what's going on in the community so I can get a better pulse on that. And I want my officers to hear from them as well. So these forums aren't just for me. These are for my people to be involved and get connected with the community. Business forum, same thing. Just the other day, I found out I have an extortionist running around town, guy in a wheelchair, going up to these businesses and saying, hey, you better pay me $3,000 or I'm going to sue you for ADA violations. The federal law that says you have to have ramps and all these things. And he's done this at a lot of places and gotten $3,000 to $5,000 each time he's ripped off one of these businesses, right? Has any one of them reported that crime? They said, no, we knew you guys wouldn't do anything about it. That was their response. Okay, well, I'm going after that guy. I know who he is. And that's not going to happen anymore. And we will prosecute him. But I didn't know about that. And I know there's a lot more of that stuff happening to businesses that I don't know about. So that's just another way for me to get my pulse on what's happening in the community. Okay, so those are the three forums that we're going to put together in the next couple months. We're going to go to the next slide. This is my officer's favorite. They've been begging me for training. They really have. They really said that they want lots and lots of training, so this was for them. Training, training, training. What are we going to get training in? Well, we're going to start with evidence. We have about 8 years' worth of evidence collection in our evidence lockers that no one's ever bothered to figure out whose property is and try to get the property back to the people that we took it from or that suspects stole from other people. Literally thousands and thousands of items that have just sat there and never had an audit for 6 years. So we're working with the Department of Justice, we're working with the DEA, and we're also working with the LAPD. My friends from the LAPD, on their dime, they're sending them down from the Los Angeles Police Department to help me set up my evidence systems, my evidence lockers in a more professional way. And my guy that runs that is just delighted because he's been trying to tell people for years we've got a mess and no one would listen. So we're going to fix that and try to get people their property back and have a professional evidence collection process so we can successfully prosecute cases and get people their property back. Records. In 2008, when the financial crisis hit, we wiped out the records unit. Whoever the chief was at the time decided he didn't want to get rid of police officers, so he wiped out the civilian force in his department. That is a fatal flaw. And why is that a fatal flaw? Now here we are in 2014. We have no idea what our crime stats are. We're way behind on our crime reports. We literally have no system for keeping up with records and crime. So we're going to have some training. We're going to look at getting some people in there to get some help to the records people. And there's 2 ladies that work in there, and you should see them. They're just swamped. Some of you may have seen them. You may have gone to the windows up there and tried to get a crime report or pay a ticket, and you see these piles and piles and stacks of report in every corner behind them. Look at it next time you're over there. That's all the reports they're behind, let alone the ones that haven't got yet because people haven't been turning in reports. So that's got to get fixed immediately because that's how I run a business, based upon statistics. And if my statistics are in stacks in a corner, I have no statistics. So just a simple thing, but there's a lot of training behind making that record system work again. Dispatchers, we're short dispatchers. We got lots of problems with dispatchers. From time to time, we've hired temps. And so we have to fix our dispatch system because that's the hub of how we send out calls for service and service you, the community. Not operating very well, but that one's an easier fix than most of them, thanks goodness. I'm short officers. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm way short on supervisors because of lots of reasons, which you're aware of, and lieutenants. So every level of my department wants training is going to get it. So what I've lined up is I have the Department of Justice that's going to help, DEA that's going to help, Los Angeles County Sheriffs are going to help, the LAPD is going to help. You know, my initial reaction was I don't want to bring all these people from LA because this isn't the LA Police Department. But your officers and my employees are begging, and they want to go to LA to visit those departments to see how they operate. So I finally relented. Against all my best instincts, I didn't want to bring LAPD to Calexico. But they actually want to learn to be professional police officers, so that's actually good. And because those guys are all my friends, they're willing to donate a lot of their time and energy to come down here and help us, so that's really outstanding. So there's also a lot of talk in my department about feeling unsafe in the city of Calexico. So my officers are going to have all brand new equipment. They have every weapon known to law enforcement. They have tear gas. They're going to have brand new tasers. What they are lacking is self-confidence in their skills. That's why they don't feel safe. And they don't feel confident in their skills because they haven't had the training to be confident. Never in my career have I ever felt like I was unsafe in the field. During the riots, I might have thought about it more often than most times in LA, but I never felt like my life was in danger. Never ever felt it. I wouldn't want the job if that's the way that I felt. Well, many of our officers actually feel that way here in Calexico. And I attribute that to they've never been trained to be professional police officers and proficient at their task. So I had the blessing of, in the last 3 years of my career in LAPD, working with the SWAT team. You might have remembered the 19-month-old little girl about 10 years ago that got shot and killed in a hostage situation in Los Angeles. It was the first person that had been killed in a SWAT situation in LA in 26 years. The first person that was ever killed in a SWAT situation. And the way SWAT officers think is not the way you see it on TV. Not even remotely close. They're the kindest, gentlest, sweetest human beings you have ever met. And they're that way because they're that confident in what they do. When they get up in the morning and come to work, right out of roll call, they all get together and they debrief all the stuff they did last night, all the tactics they used, and they ask themselves 4 questions. Did any of our people get hurt? No. Okay, we had a good night. Did any of our citizens get hurt? No, we had a good night. Did any of our suspects get hurt? No, we had a good night. Did everybody go to jail in a professional and constitutional manner? Yes, we had a good night. They do that every morning before they go to work. They actually sit in a squad and have that conversation. And then at the end of the day, they do it again. Their constant conversation is, how does everybody go home well, whole, and happy? Even suspects. That's the way they look at their business. That's what I want to bring to Calexico, because I know these guys are capable of it, and ladies. They're bright people. They're starving for training. And so I'm very lucky that a lot of the original SWAT members who are now retired and some that are on the job in LAPD that are really exceptional SWAT officers are being allowed to come down and train my officers here in Calexico. So I'm really looking forward to that, to get away from this mystique that this is a dangerous place to work. I would have given anything to work Calexico compared to LA or any other place. Even the city I currently live in my current home in Lakewood, this is a safer city. I'm telling you that. This is really a safe city compared to Lakewood, California. There's so many police officers. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. I'm going to move through a little quicker now because I have a tendency to talk too much. So technology. So the officers wanted body cameras. We're getting those. They're going to carry cameras on duty. It's a smart thing to do. When people have issues or complaints or whatever, we show them the camera and say, oh, when did this happen? Believe it or not, 95% of personnel complaints go away because generally it didn't happen the way people allege it happened by the officers. We have the body cameras. It's a win-win for everybody. Then the officers themselves, if you got a body camera on, come on, you're going to think about what you're doing because you know it's recorded. Just reality. But actually the officers came to me and asked me for those. That's never happened in my career. So that's the kind of people you have. They're okay to be held accountable and they want the body cameras. So we're getting them. We're going to, inside your police vehicles, you always see your officers with their cars running when they're not in it and all of that. Well, somewhere along the way we bought these, I won't even mention the name of the company, but we bought these MDC systems that, for whatever reason, it takes like a half an hour to turn on your car, wait for the computer to boot up the software, and then you can go to work. And what are they doing in that half an hour? They're sitting there staring at a blank screen, waiting for it to turn on. So what's wrong with that picture? Then they have these video systems in their car. It's a good system, but it's a second computer in the car. Okay? So let's just use your home for an analogy. If you had WordPerfect over here on your computer, would you go buy another computer to have Word, right? No. You just load that software onto the other computer and you got one computer. I probably have 35 software systems on my computer at home. But for some reason, we have two computers running two different software systems that could all be run on one computer. Return on investment? Pretty poor. Good business decision? No, it was not. One doesn't work and the other one doesn't work very well. So what we're working on now with our asset forfeiture money, that's money that we get from seizing drugs and money in the narcotics business with our task forces, we're going to go buy some new computers inside the car that run both of those systems, and we're going to get new camera systems in the car, and all that camera video goes to the cloud. Everybody's heard this thing about the cloud. So what's the cloud? It's just gigantic server farms all over the United States that store data so that we don't have to. I don't have to have technical people running servers at the station or give anyone access to tamper with those server systems. And does that happen? Of course it does when they can. You know, when you want to make videos go away, you go to the server and make them go away. Well, that's all eliminated when it goes to the cloud. So we're going to have really good cameras.
Can you more shorten, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you, Mr. Shorten? I think it looks like we have a lot of things to talk.
Yeah,
please.
just about done. I will. So we're going to do that. We're also going to put video systems in all city facilities. I'm responsible for the security of the entire city. So I'm going to put video systems throughout the city. And my long-term dream is to put video cameras in the city itself, in large business districts and large areas where we know we have huge populations, maybe down at the huge malls, so we can start keeping an eye on what's happening in the city and create a video wall both in City Hall and at the police department and at the fire department so we know what's happening in our city and have that capability. Automated evidence system we've already talked about. We also are going to streamline the current Spillman system that we have. That doesn't mean anything to you, but it's a software system that gives me all this data, only it doesn't give me all the data I need, so I have to figure out how to fix it. Okay, next slide. Hey, that's great. I already talked about all those, so we can forget them. We'll go to the next one. Deployment for, I've already also talked about these, except for the last one. One of the things that we did in 2008 is we used to have a civilian mid-level manager, like a lieutenant, that used to run all the civilian operations, dispatch, records, parking enforcement, and that person retired, so we never filled it. So now our civilian processes are like in chaos. Nobody really runs it. We added to the plate of one of my uniformed lieutenants but it's not even their specialty. So it's just adding more burden to them to run it. And there's also now no longer a career path for civilian employees. If you sign up to be a records clerk in CoCLX, you're going to do that for the next 40 years unless you apply for a different job. So we have to fix that. And my intention is to do that. We'll go on to the next slide. Okay, I've already talked enough about DOJ. I'm going to skip that one in the interest of time. Recruitment. This is important. You've been hearing me saying I'm going to recruit. Well, we are. We're going to get out an advertisement this month for police officers, also an advertisement for sergeants. There's going to be an emphasis for me to bring females in the department. We only have 2. And in 2014, it was a very funny conversation. My wife, who's a 20-year Los Angeles police officer, was in the audience with my fellow officers today. And so I asked a question to my fellow police officers. So why, guys, I asked the guys, why did you marry your wife, those of you who are married? Right? I asked them that question, why did you marry him? And one officer finally got the courage up, well, because she takes care of me. I said, beautiful. So why do you think we need women in policing? To help us take care of ourselves and the community. It's how they're made, it's how they think. This is 2014. So we need women in public safety because they have a different approach to life. It's important, it's significant. And most women that come to public safety, and I don't mind saying it out loud, they're already smarter because they have to put up with the guys. They have to be smarter, and they are. Okay, enough said on that. So I'm going to recruit females. I'm not going to pick females just because they're female. I'm going to pick the most qualified officers, so I need your help in the community recruiting female officers to apply for my assignments. Recruiting sergeants from other departments that you know to come over and apply for my sergeant's job because I'm going to hire both inside and outside. I'm looking for the best people wherever I can get them. At some point, I'm going to come to the council with a plan. Somewhere along the way, we created 6 sergeants in my department, and I have 6 teams in the field. Well, that means every week when that sergeant takes his day off, one night every week, your officers are out there with no supervision. I have no idea how that happened, but that's a formula for disaster at 3 o'clock in the morning to have officers out in the field with no supervision. It's just bad business. Civilian middle manager I mentioned, and then what I'd like to do is I have a commander's position that's not currently budgeted, but I'm going to come back and ask the council at some point to add a 3rd lieutenant. And why do I want 3 lieutenants? I want a night watch lieutenant. I currently have a lieutenant for investigations and a lieutenant for operations, but I don't have any command staff working nights. I will as often as I can, but I'm still only one person. I want a lieutenant working 5 nights a week out in the field with our police officers, so you have some senior leadership when we need it. And it's not generally during the day, it's at night. So we'll be moving in that direction. Facilities plan. Now this one is actually fun, good news story, and I'm giving all the credit to Chief Mercado. Is he here? Yeah. Okay, so this guy has worked his tail off on a new facility plan for the fire department to get new police facilities, new fire facilities, and thank God he's the kind of guy he is. And I said to him one day, why are we building 2 separate facilities? We're all public safety. Why don't we have one public safety service center? And you know what he said? I don't know why. The police department just doesn't want to play. Well, we're playing now. So we're working on a plan to have one public safety service center for both police and fire. We're all going to be together, and that creates a couple of things. It creates a unified public safety approach, and it also creates synergy of civilian personnel so you don't have to duplicate everything in 2 separate departments because we actually work together with one record unit, one dispatch unit, one communications unit so that the city gets better return on its investment of those people. So my hat's off to the chief. He's worked really hard, and I'm not going to steal his thunder. He's working on that plan. But I am really excited about that, and I want to get that done before I leave Calexico. So thanks to the chief for that. We're also looking at a plan to clean up and repave our parking lot over there for both police and fire. Most of you don't know this, but we either walk in dirt storms or mud every day back and forth to our police cars. So I spend all morning spit shining and polishing my boots, and by the time I get out of the car, walking to the station, it looks like I never touched them. So that really bothers me. We don't need to have that, so we're working on a plan to fix that. I'm going to use narcotics asset forfeiture money to do that. I already talked about reorganization, so I'm going to skip through that. And the last slide. No, this is the last slide. So we're already in the process of upgrading all brand-new tasers. The tasers we currently have, I heard, are 10 years old. Some work, some don't, but they still carry them. Pretty important tool in the kit of police officers. Today we sold the Chevy Impala, former chief's car, and we sold the Chevy Tahoe that was the investigative unit car to the Valley Task Force, a unit that could actually use that equipment. They bought that equipment for us, and in place of it, we're going to get 2 plainclothes police cars and a new regular police car for myself. And then, so we swapped in 2 cars, we're getting 3. So we finally made a good business decision on that, and that problem's been taken care of. New MDCs I talked about, new video systems, and that's pretty much it. So those are the instant upgrades that we're working on, and we're doing that without using city funds. We're using the asset forfeiture money that we have that was sitting in drawers and different places that showed up. So now we have that money. So that's pretty exciting. And the last slide. This is why I'm going to tell my officers every day that I come to work. Everything we do in 2015 is focused on servicing the community. If you're not coming to me to talk to me about that, you're not wasting my time. That's what I'm going to tell my police officers. I don't want to hear any more stories about how they were unfairly treated, or some sergeant was not nice to them, or, gee, I really needed that day off, but I didn't get it. I'm amazed in this police department, with a chain of command of sergeant, lieutenant, and then me, the police officers think that I'm just, on any given day, they can come in and I'm just going to overrule everything they've been told to do. That's the culture they grew up in. So, unless they're coming to me to talk to me about how they can better personally serve the community, I don't want to hear from them. Is that a hard-nosed approach? No, that's the business we're in. We're not in the business of making each other feel comfortable at work. We're not here to be comfortable, to have the days off we need, to have vacation days, or my hangnail hurts, I need a couple weeks off, can I work the desk, We're here to serve the community. So as long as they're willing to talk to me about that, I'm willing. And that's the focus of our department in 2015. So thank you for your time. And Councilmember Kim, I apologize for running over.
Honorable Mayor, can I give a few words?
Well,
As a neighborhood watch captain for the last 15 years for Kennedy Gardens, I like what the chief presented. I just like to propose that we can have a community
you
forum.
have a public comment time, you can do it, please.
Public comment?
Write the form, please. Okay. Now we've finished the presentations. It's public comment time. Public comment and the public appearances note not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and the place of residency for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. If the item you wish to comment on is a closed session or consent item, please comment now. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussion item not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and the comments to the City Council. Okay, first of all, Mr. Would you fill up the paper, please? Mr. Ortega? Mr. Ortega was right. Is he left?
He's
Okay.
coming. He's coming.
Okay, Mr. Ortega, you want to talk? You want to speak? Okay, then Maribel Padilla.
Maribel Padilla, Calexico, California. I'm here to talk about the homeless shelter. When the freeze watch came out, that it said to bring in your pets and cover your pants, I thought about, what about the homeless? Who brings them in? Who covers them? I contacted city officials and was told because of the time constraints, they weren't able to do something. And I kind of understand that. When that couldn't be done, my friend Norma Aguilar helped me talk to the school district. And Maria Ambris, the superintendent, got with legal, and they were able to get us the building. Then they talked to the neighborhood house. They got the legal stuff done. We had a building. Then Norma got called Red Cross, Border Patrol. We got cops. I called the community. The community came and brought us blankets, food, everything. If two women, two citizens of this city can get this emergency shelter done in 4 hours, I don't understand why the city can't help us. We had to leave the gym because school started. Now we're at the Methodist Church. We have to leave by Friday because they have their services, so we need to leave. What I'm asking is for this emergency shelter to be put in place somehow. We did it in 4 hours. You surely can do it in 3 days. We need to get out by Friday, so I need something by Saturday. You have 3 days. We did it in 4 hours. Don't tell me it cannot be done. I'm here, fever, flu, dying. I can't even talk. But I'm here because of these homeless. I'm going to show you who you're helping. Por favor, levántese. These are the men in the shelter. They came so you can help them. They're here asking for your help. These men are field workers, send their money to their families in Mexico, and have nothing left to rent a place. Yes, some of them drink, some of them don't. But they're people, and they're out there in the cold weather. Some of you might say, it's going to be a little better. It's not going to be that cold. I urge you, if you think that way, spend a night outside and tell me how warm it is. Yes, the freeze is not on right now, but it's still cold. These people are human beings. You're worried about plants and animals. Worry about your citizens. These people, although they might not vote for you, they live in your parks. They live in the streets. They are the citizens of Calexico. I need you to help them. I have a home, thank God. They don't. I need you to please look into it and try to get some kind of building by Friday so we can move our stuff there, if at least through the season that it's going to be so cold. Look at them. This is who you're helping. They took their time to come here. They could be asleep because they got to get up and work at 3 in the morning, but they're here asking for your support. Please help them. Thank you.
Next person, Norma Aguilar.
Good evening. Good evening, City Council. Norma Aguilar, 39 Heber Avenue. Essentially, what we are asking on behalf of the people residing in the shelter is that you help us get a place. One of the places that was identified as a possibility is the old courthouse. I did some investigation. The utilities are on. There's light and there's water on at the old courthouse. It's partitioned, but that's okay. We can use it like that. And if we can make a temporary kitchen within a gym and work within a a facility where we're at right now that is half the size of this room and fit 28 people. That's what we're fitting. People are donating on a daily basis. They're bringing food, they're bringing water, they're bringing clothing. Last night, we had a 98-year-old gentleman that was dropped off. We have another 82-year-old that's there. We have a young man that I don't know who dropped him off, but he had just gotten out of the hospital. Right now we're at capacity. We won't be able to accept anybody. But thank God we have people here in Calexico that have a kind heart. There's been donations. We do not handle the money. Where the money they give it to us, we hand it right over to Ricardo Ortega from the neighborhood house. They are the fiscal agent. They are the ones managing the money. All we're handling is whatever food is provided or raw goods, and convert them into food. I've been doing cooking. I've been going every single day since the 31st. We're not asking for charity. I can tell you one of the things that these gentlemen and ladies, because we have two ladies, they are so grateful and they are so hyper aware that just so grateful for the response. They are taking the initiative to help serve, helping clean up. The day that we had to vacate the gym, about 6 or 7 of them stayed and waited until 9 o'clock so that they were able to help us load up and transport things to the Methodist Church. And for some of these people, this is the first time they've been treated as a human being. I had several of them saying, it feels so wonderful to be able to feel safe. One of the last things that that gentleman, 90-year-old, said, how long will we be able to stay here? Well, we were only able to tell him until Friday, because otherwise, if we don't find another place, we won't be able to house them. Please help us, help them. We're not asking you for a lot. I would think that the fiscal impact would be minimal. Yes, there's going to be the use of the light and the water. But thank God we've got ongoing continuous donations coming in. We had a recent donation of $100 from somebody outside of Calexico, because that person said, I'm so proud of the fact that Calexico is actually doing something for the homeless where other cities are kicking them out, and Calexico is responding. Don't let us go back on that. Thank you.
Next person, Sylvia Bernard.
Good evening, Sylvia Bernal, 818 East 4th Street. A few months back, we came and we asked, with the homeless task that we have going on with the Calexico Neighborhood House, we came and we asked you during the summer months when the heat was really, really bad, we asked you if you would take into consideration lending us the courthouse. And I'm talking, this must have happened about maybe 6 months ago. Up to this date, we have never received a response. If we would have had some type of response, all these homeless people today would have a place to be at. I know that each one of you that all of you have a kind heart. Everybody cares. We all belong to some type of religion. We all know that we are supposed to help our brothers and sisters. And what a better time to give. We just started a new year, and I think that each one of us here, in some way or another, are willing to go out there and help. But we can't do what we want to do without the city coming into effect and helping us trying to find a shelter. I could probably take in one person to come and live at my house, and I can have him there. but I can't take in 28 people to come to live at my home. But I know that all of us here can help in one way or another. Please, please don't turn your face on these people that are here. The last time that we had a homeless task event, we had over close to about 120 homeless people show up, and it was done at the pastor's church. And we gave blankets, we gave them the flu vaccines, we did whatever, but it doesn't stop there. These people need some place to stay every day, not just right now during the cold months. You know, we need to develop something stable, something that will be there in the summer and in the wintertime. And I just want to repeat myself again. I know each one of you have a kind heart, and please think with your heart. Thank you.
Next person, Javier Gonzalez.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council, Administration and staff. Javier Gonzalez, Neighborhood Watch Captain for Kennedy Gardens. Just want to take this opportunity that the Chief presented a great program. We would like to set up a community forum. Mr. Real has been very hesitant in wanting to meet with our neighbors. We did that. We've been doing it for the past years, and we've never gotten results. So I just want to know if January 21 is a fine day. We can invite 2 council members, our administrators, and the police department. We've been discussing video cameras for our neighborhood for the past 10 years. And let me tell you, he did mention crime prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of because at Kennedy Gardens, you guys know it was the worst neighborhood in Calexico. Today, graffiti has just been gone. No vandalism. But I do agree that I asked Shallow that I heard that there were some break-ins at Kennedy Gardens. There is no stats. There is no report. So I think having a community meeting would be great with the city, with the 2 council members, and the police department. So if January 21 is fine, we already spoke to the people at Alex Rivera. They'll be willing to lend us the facility and participate because we have our senior citizens in the middle, and we also take care of them. They usually tell us when there's neighborhood vandals, because we know before the police does. And yes, many people do not report, but they tell us. And when it's within our neighbors, we talk to them. And I mean, graffiti is gone. It was the worst neighborhood with graffiti and gangs, and it's gone. Most of the people there were our neighbors. All we did is we knocked on their door. 20 neighbors were there. We told them, we're not the police, we're your neighbors. So 21, Real, are you willing to meet?
Sure.
Mr. Castro already agreed, and we just need the administration and police department. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, if anybody has public comment, we're going to close the public comment. Now to... Mr.
Horton? No, Mr. Ortega requested a amendment to the agenda.
Yeah.
Do you want a general or do you want a specific? Are you wanting something on the agenda?
Well,
He's general, Mr. Kim. Mr. Esparza is general comments.
general comment, Esparza, I don't have it here.
They'll make
Okay.
it up again if you like. Because
Yeah, okay, Mr. Esparza, you got 3 minutes. Mr. Horton next.
Ángel Esparzas, 1049 Sput Moreno. Good evening, honorable councilmen, councilwomen, and members of the community. Hope everyone had a good, happy new year, and I'm looking forward to this 2015 and what you guys will do. I just wanted to speak regarding the employment of the chief of police, the financial service director, and the city manager. I know it's been in negotiation, and I don't know if it's come to an agreement, but I wanted to give you guys some food for thought. At the moment, it seems like we're thinking if we can afford to hire them, But consider this. Can we afford to not have them? They have really pushed the progress of our city in a way that no one in their position has in the past. And to the 3 individuals that are negotiating, you guys are awesome and have done an incredible job in the short amount of time that you've been here. But if you see the potential, lead our city to it, to the point where your pay raise will be inevitable. The community needs you. Just look where our city has been in the last few years. No substantial progress. To contrast, just look at our sister city, Mexicali. It has progressed and grown so much in the past 4 years. We have tremendous potential. I know it's a collective effort between the citizens, but you are all the leaders that set the example. Everyone in City Hall sets the example. I'm looking forward for us all to work together as a community and as leaders to transform this city and reach the potential it deserves. Thank you.
The item was going to appear on the agenda.
Yeah, since we didn't discuss that, I'm as a chairperson, I'm gonna put that one after the consent agenda item removed from consent calendar. We're gonna discuss at the time.
Thank you.
Mr. Kim, did you do the closed session announcement for the legal?
Distinguished members of the council, I have before I start, I want to concur with Mr. Espacia Angel. That's my view, exactly what he said. And we should look at this and move forward on it. Now to touch upon the homeless. We are a body here, and I'm talking about the city council, that can move and adjust to what the needs are of the community. I myself was honored, I use the word honored, to spend a couple of nights at the shelter. You have to be there to understand what these people are going through. You have to be there. We can sit back and talk about things and say how nice it is from afar. I don't like the idea of being afar. We're leaving it up to the city council, this body, to take action tonight. Not tomorrow, not the next day, not to have a special meeting, we wait 24 hours. We're looking to do something. And I gotta say one thing. The neighborhood house and especially these 2 ladies here, they move and adjust within the time. They have to be applauded. They really have to be applauded. They gave up their New Year's Eve in order to take care of people that are in need. Now it's up to the city council to show what if they have the stature, the ability to move and adjust. Thank you.
Okay, we had a missing for the report from the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The City Council did meet in closed session. There was discussion, but we have no action item to report. Thank you.
Okay, now it's come to the council. Mr. Mandy, you have some comment? Council comments.
Well, first of all, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope everybody was with their loved ones and had I think everyone, well, I'm going to include myself. I think we all gained a few pounds from eating so many tamales and everything. And I thought someone was going to bring a rosca today, but it's not here. So I want to commend Mrs. Norma Aguilar, also the neighborhood house, and for everything that they that they've been doing. Maribel Padilla invited me, I think it was the night before New Year's Eve. I helped cut some hair, and I was going to spend the night, but I snore, so they kicked me out. But thank you for inviting me. It was definitely something to see that really warms your heart. I mean, when you see these guys, I actually was asked that specific question as well. How long are you guys going to be here? You know, it's like they would like to have that obviously all year, and I don't know whatever the city council can do to try and help. I'm sure me and myself, I'm willing to help out as much as I can.
Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Hurtado.
Okay, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. 2015 will be our year. First of all, I'd like to make sure that I mention something a little technical. Last meeting, I did appoint Mr. Romero as my planning commissioner. However, he did not accept that nomination. He will be accepting another. So I will have to state that I will be then taking that nomination and appointment back. Besides that, with regard to the homeless, kudos to everyone that's out there that's handling that need. One really important thing, I think, as a council, we did start participating in something called a homeless task force in the Imperial County, and that started as of last year, where the actual homeless issues are to follow a certain model, registering the different participants, seeing if there's ways to integrate them back into society and things like that, because there is some individuals out there, unfortunately, that don't want to be back in society and don't want to and prefer to live the way that they do. So I do invite the council. It appears that the task force, the county task force, will have a meeting on Friday, January the 9th, right, Mr. Ortega, at 8:30 in the morning, and that's at the Catholic Charities building in El Centro. We do here in the city of Calexico have a men's shelter already and a women's shelter. We do have that already in place. However, it does appear that by the opinion of the task force, the city of Calexico does have the largest population of homeless needs. And so it appears that then not only just this emergency situation needs to be discussed, we do need to discuss the capacities that we're fulfilling at this time, with appears to be 50 beds only in our men's shelter by way of the Catholic Charities. And I do know that they're looking at reconstructing their shelter. However, what did surprise me is that they only will be staying with the same 50 beds. And I didn't understand that, why we were going to be having a remodeling after so many years and not increase the bed size. So there's definitely a discussion there. I do invite you all to go, and I know that I will. I know Maribel goes with me on Friday to continue to learn, because these types of issues were so ignored that it is important that we learn, that we not try to reinvent the wheel. These models exist in other, the only thing that's a little different with Calexico is that we are a border city. So we do have an extra different type of issues. I know that I went out there and I helped you a lot with discussing immigration needs and things like that, because that's my job as a consultant, and kind of helping them out because they're kind of stuck here a little bit because of their immigration issues. Okay, so besides that, again, thank you so much for that, and I know that we will work together and find some solutions. The last issue I think that I wanted to mention was, although it was the holidays, Mandy and I continued on our tour and continue to go a little deeper into different issues here in the city, principally business development and our parks. And so it looks like we're going to have some new things come to our parks, new equipment. We're looking at that. A lot of money out there and trying to decide exactly what it is that we need to do. I know we had a meeting with Chewy and his league, and really happy to work together very closely with them as well. And the other issue is our downtown cleanliness. So we were able to work together the couple of weeks before the holidays, and from this day forward, we know that those will be our priorities and work really hard on them. So thank you. I'm really excited about 2015. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kim. Just want to say a couple things. I hope everybody had a great holiday. I want to congratulate the class of '82 that also did so many good things over the holiday for our homeless and those less fortunate. I know I was involved, very minimal role, but it was good to see you guys out there, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Padilla. Congratulations, you make our city better. I also want to meet with Javier Gonzalez. I know he's out in the crowd tonight, and I want to see what some of the concerns he has for the Kennedy Gardens. I know we exchanged messages, but we never got to meet last week. Hopefully this week or the weekend we can do something. Just let me know. I'll be more than happy to go tour the areas out in Kennedy Gardens. And I congratulate Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Kim for running a good meeting. So I'll let him continue running it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Castro?
Yes, I want to encourage Mrs. Padilla, Mrs. Aguilar, in related to the homeless and also to neighborhood house. And as a city council and as a citizens of this city, anything related to this town to benefit the people, I'm willing to work and I'm here to do the best I can for this community. Thank you.
Okay, my turn. Happy New Year. 새해 복 많이 받으세요. That's Korean say Happy New Year.
Could you please translate that? Sorry, Mr. Gibbons.
Well, I'm going to say short and nicely, I'm going to speak out. And the one thing is, if I forgot, the town hall meeting is not has to be only to council member. It's just town hall meeting. We can just town hall meeting with a discussion. As long as we don't decide anything, we can all 5 council members can be there. And homeless issues is kind of a delicate. They need help. I wish decrease the homeless level in our city. That's best for our community benefit. And also, we were talking about the job, hiring, contracts. I strongly believe opening job process is the best procedure to hire the best interested people for the benefit of the city or benefit of the governments. Thank you. Happy New Year. And then we're going to go to consent agenda. Is anybody to pull out the items?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve 6, 7, 8, and 9.
If nobody doesn't want to move it, well, they're supposed to have a chance to pull out.
Oh, well, no, if anyone wants to pull out,
if
I'll hold on. If not, I'll motion for approval of 6, 7, 8, and 9.
I'll pull out the 7.
I'll motion for the approval of 6, 8, and 9.
Second.
To vote.